Content warning. Cursing. The dream.
So my name is James Smith. We're at Seven Bays Baldwin Gym in a changing room right now. And so this is my dream that I had the other night. I woke up briefly for a second in my house and I heard, I think, what was the cat, but it sounded very heavy and I wasn't sure whether a person was up or not. And I know in this house they don't lock the front door, which I usually do before I sleep. So anyway, I was a little bit nervous when I woke up, but I eventually fell asleep again and went into a dream state. And as I did, I woke up in the dream on the bed I was in, but the wall to the left of me, which is usually there, was replaced with a set of bars, like jail cell type bars, those old school type thick steel bars. And I'd woken up and the mattress underneath me had gone, which I usually sleep on. It's on the floor. And I looked out of the cell bars and the mattress was on the floor, on the ground, on the first floor of the house underneath me, which was very confusing. So that made me a little bit anxious and I didn't know why that had happened. But I got up out of the room. It was a very small room, walked down the stairs, and there was a lot of nerves that somebody was in the house because of that sound. And it was confusing whether I was asleep or awake at that time. So I went downstairs and went into the kitchen in the dream and looked out of the back window, and there's a long garden towards the back of this house. And at the back of the garden, there was just a man standing there. He was slightly lit up, there was just a downward light on him, and he was just staring into the house. And that kind of concluded that first part of the dream. And nothing came of that. The dream moved forward, and I'm not sure whether I woke up slightly and went back into the second part of the dream, but I was on a hillside close to a town, and I was gardening, and I've been thinking about gardening a lot lately, so I'm not sure if that was clearly part of it. And so I'm gardening, and I get this feeling of being watched. And anyway, so I take a photo on my iPad, which I use on a regular basis in my waking life. And I take a photo, and then for some reason, I don't know why this would happen, but I put the photo into Google like you would you'd search a keyword. And as I put that in, I was moved towards a streaming website. And on that streaming website, as I clicked play on the main video on the page, the stream started to play, and it was a video of me on my iPad looking at the streaming website on this little garden patch. And I could see where it was coming from. I could see what angle I was being shot from. So I turned to look where it was. And over the town, a long way in the distance, there was a tower. And there was somebody on the tower with a tripoded camera looking back at me, watching me. And so, the CCTV part of that, I was being surveillance. So, that was kind of it, and that was the end of it. And I was just a little bit, there was definitely anxiety there because I was just like, why am I being watched from so far? And that's kind of it.
What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? Do you think these ones are about being watched?
I get the feeling.
It's probably not. It's probably.
He is the man.
No.
I don't know. Wow, yeah. So super being watched.
Yeah, super being watched. I will also add that after we finished recording, James did also mention, he was like, or he speculated, he was like, I wonder if that's the same person in both parts.
Oh, like that wasn't, why is he
It wasn't clear to him, I guess.
So he's telling you these two dreams.
Yeah, they happened in sequence.
And they're related clearly to him because he's telling you, like, they go together.
Yeah, well, because I think they happened in one night. It was just that he woke up a little bit in between them, or it was like they disconnected. It's not one narrative.
Yeah.
They were two separate dream feelings, but obviously the same thing is going on in both.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I just was assuming that it was the same person.
Yeah. Well, because it feels like the same person. Everything about it is the same.
Yeah.
You know? I like how this dream, it's like, yeah, it really creeps me out.
Super creepy.
And I like how the man who is watching is so passively watching. He's not doing anything. He's not approaching.
Extra creepy.
It's extra creepy. You know, and like lit from above in the first part of the dream. You know, I'm picturing like trench coat man where you can't see the details of his face at all.
Yeah.
Like you can't even see his eyes, but you know that they're on you.
The lit from above is puzzling.
It is puzzling in a practical way, but it also, I don't know, like remind me of like a detective movie from the 40s or something.
Oh, it's just how it looks.
It's like he's like under like a street light or something. So you can't see his face because he's wearing maybe like a hat, like one of those detective hats.
Yeah.
He's a detective.
Yeah.
What is he trying to
in
detect?
The back of his garden, though. Like,
yeah.
This is
oh, God, so unsettling. I don't like it.
Also, jail. Well, I mean, like, the jail of being always watched, I guess, right?
I guess so, but it's like he's not actually... What I find interesting about the jail part is like he's in his bed, but then his bed isn't there. He's still in the spot that his bed should be. He's in a jail cell, and then he just walks out of it, though. He's not actually in it. You know, it's like he feels like he's in a prison, but he's not... It's not
actually. And also, he's not being watched in that room.
That's true.
Like, he only...
well, yeah.
Well, maybe
we don't know.
I suppose. But the feeling of being watched wasn't in the room. Like,
yeah,
once he leaves and goes downstairs and he's, like, worried, is there someone around? Mm-hmm. The feeling of someone around is like they're not in the house, but they're there watching, but they're looking into the house on the first floor.
Yeah.
He's out there with the guy's mattress. Like, what's with the mattress being... Maybe the mattress is just like... Why is the mattress
outside? Yeah, why is the mattress outside? What is the mattress? What are mattresses?
This is why... Okay, maybe this is why I accidentally said at the beginning that maybe the man is him.
Yeah. Okay, tell me.
Because he's out there with the mattress, and the mattress is James's mattress.
Yeah.
And so then it's just this, like, which side are we on? Like, where am I?
It doesn't feel to me like the man is James.
That's fair.
He just looks not like James in my mind. But you know, yeah, it is weird. The mattress part is weird. Because a mattress is a very intimate thing.
Yeah, and you know, like, it was not that it was stolen from him. There's no, like, there's this sense, you know what though, this might be one of those dream things where, like, at first, you're dreaming about an invader.
Yeah.
And invaders, like, steal stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And so you're having this, like, stuff is being stolen from me. My mattress is outside now because somebody stole it. And then you come downstairs and you're like, wait, no, this dream is actually about surveillance. And the mattress is just like...
that was just to lead us
accident.
Here.
Yeah, it was just like a device to get us downstairs looking outside at the man who's looking in, and it's actually not relevant.
Right. But also, it's like, you know, it's interesting because the dream starts with this unsettling feeling. Like, he's anxious when he recognizes that there's something wrong with the fact that the mattress isn't, you know, it's not where it's supposed to be. Yeah. And that's where the anxiety begins. Yeah. Like, he doesn't even say that the bars make him anxious. It's like when he notices the mattress being in the wrong spot, then he feels anxious.
Yeah.
And, like, to be fair, that is very unsettling. Like, it's weird when things are just off in a way. Yeah. And this actually makes me think of something. Well, it doesn't even really relate, but somebody recently posted something online about the fact that the Manson family, before they did their murdering, they would often break into the people's houses very sneakily and just, like, move things around slightly. Like, just, like, take a small thing, you know? And that's the worst. It's the worst.
It's awful.
I hate it. Just hate everything about the stories about the Manson family. It's deeply troubling. But yeah, and so it's kind of like that kind of feeling where you're like, ooh, like, how could it be possible that my mattress is just outside? Like, how could this be a part of the reality that I'm in? Yeah. You know?
Like, I have not been aware of this happening.
Yeah.
Like, where have I been?
Also, how did it get stolen from under me while I'm sleeping?
Yeah.
Like, how can I be that blind to what's going on.
Maybe that's actually what it is. Maybe it's just that, it's that, coming to realize that something really unsettling has been happening and is happening to you. Like, you're, like, that, where you're like, oh, wait a second, like, things aren't right. Like, the mattress is just, like, a device to illustrate that.
Yeah.
Feeling, and then what he's actually realizing is that this about being watched.
Also, I don't even know, because the rest of the dream has nothing to do with this feeling, but it's just coming into my mind that, like, a mattress, like a bed and prison bars, it's like intimacy, no? It's like you feel trapped in some form of scary intimacy. It's like you feel like you're imprisoned. You're not actually imprisoned. You can get up and walk away anytime, but you feel like you're imprisoned, and it's like the bed is...
Yeah, but the bed just gets taken out of the prison.
Yeah, so what does that mean? I'm just gonna let that hang. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. But somehow, like, beds feel... You know, it's like, it's where you sleep, so it's where you're vulnerable physically, but it's also where you have sex. It's where, like, if you are sleeping with someone, they're there with you. There was no one, obviously, in this version, but, like...
Yeah, but it's also, like, that could equally represent just, like, your cozy, home, safe little nest zone.
That's true. Could
like, if you're not, like, he never mentions anybody
he doesn't mention
else.
Anyone.
Like, it's
Which
just...
you know, that's another thing, is that there's no one in these dreams, even though this is a house he shares with other people.
Well, he mentions that the door doesn't get locked.
He mentioned that as,
house.
like, a waking thought. And then, within the dream itself, no one else is in the house. And there's just the man watching. There are no other people. And then this is also true when he's on his hillside in part 2 of the dream. When he's on the hillside, he's away from the town. We don't think about the fact that the town is full of people. We don't know anything about what's going on in the town. The only human being who's apparent to us is the watching man, who we can somehow see clearly across the town. You know?
Yeah, he's, like, in a tower above the town, clearly very far away. And somehow he can see that he's up there with a tripod and a camera on the tripod. Like, that seems an impossible level of detail.
Is he Sauron? You know, in Lord of the Rings, there's the Eye of Sauron that's watching you always, and how Santa Claus is watching us all, and God also.
Yeah.
Like, is that the feeling of, like, an omnipotent thing that's just constantly judging you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you just agreeing that it is Santa, Sauron, and God?
Yes.
All those,
I mean, it's almost Christmas time.
It's true.
He's just wondering if he's been good or bad.
Aren't we all? Does it feel like the man is making judgments?
Absolutely not, actually.
No.
He's just observing.
Reflecting what is. You know, it's like the part that unsettles me the most, honestly, the part that feels the most like, ugh, to me, is when he's on his iPad, putting the photo into the Google search or whatever, and then suddenly is watching himself on his screen.
We haven't even got to that part yet. I forgot about it.
Freaks me right out.
Yeah. It's all about this moment. Like, it's about that moment of realizing that something is terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that happens. Yes. That's what the mattress is.
Yes.
Where you're like, wait a second, there's no, and the mattress is outside.
Yeah. Like, and nothing specific is happening yet.
No,
like, there's no action.
Everything is still, and you're just realizing.
Oh my God. Yeah,
and, like,
you're
that's
the
totally
only thing in motion. Yeah.
You're like, he's like reverse image searching.
Yeah. 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 Like,
what does he take the photo of?
Oh, interesting.
He doesn't take the photo. He doesn't say what he takes the photo of.
Maybe
he just takes
the
photo.
Garden. Like, he just takes some photo.
The way I thought that was going is that he was going to take a photo and it would be a ghost.
Oh, interesting.
But it wasn't that.
It didn't go that way.
But in a way, well, except that is
he a ghost? Is James literally a ghost?
He took a photo. It was actually a selfie. He put it into reverse image search because it doesn't look like there was anybody in it. And then it returned this video of him because he is the ghost that he photographed.
Okay.
It's about feeling very distant from your own life.
I mean, that I would take not from the twisted version of the narrative that you just put forward, but just from the way that in that second part of the dream, he is on a hillside far away from this town.
Yeah.
And at one point he said, Yeah, one of the last things he says in the dream is, why am I being watched from so far?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really fascinating because it's like, oh, it's not even just that you're being watched. It's that it's like you've removed yourself. You have taken yourself out of the social context. You're not in that town down there. You're by yourself. You're gardening. And you're still being watched. You can't escape it even though you've put yourself as far away from other people as you can. Or like relatively far. You know, I guess he's still keeping them in view. He can see the town from where he is.
Yeah.
But.
And or like, what if there's somebody that wants to observe me, why aren't they coming right up to me and looking at me and asking me questions? Like, or why aren't they still right outside my house? Like, the guy could have been on the hillside. Like, yeah, but he wasn't worried about being seen. There was a spotlight on him in the first part.
Yeah.
It was the same guy, and now he's like way at this distance. Like, why wouldn't he just come closer?
Interestingly, usually in these kinds of horror scenarios, when there's the person who's like the person who you're scared of, who's not coming towards you, but you know that they've got you in their sights, usually they get closer and closer. You know, even if you don't see them, this one's getting further away. But more omnipotent, you know, because suddenly he's got this
filming him
focus.
too.
Yeah. And then you've got the self-awareness about what it is that you are being seen as.
Yeah. And it's on the internet.
And it's on the internet.
And it's like a streaming video. It's the first one, he wasn't recording him at all.
No, he's just watching. What does it mean to be afraid of being watched? Like, what's scary about that? I mean, obviously you don't want this man to just be following you around. But if we just reduce it to the idea that it's scary to know that there are eyes on you, because that's come up in a bunch of dreams in various ways.
Yeah.
You know, like Toby's dream with the eyes outside the windows.
Yeah.
What is scary about people watching? What are you afraid they're going to see?
I guess it's just you don't know why they're watching. Yeah. You don't know what they're watching for. Like, usually if you're like, you watch a landscape when you're hunting for something.
Ooh. Yeah. That's true.
You know, like, you watch, like, a game for the moment where you're supposed to jump into it. You know, like, like, if you're watching something, you're watching for a purpose.
Yeah.
Usually, like, other than, you know, like, in general today, like, if we're being monitored in some way by, like, you know, Siri always listening to our conversation and that sort of shit, it's, like, it's not quite the same type of, it's not like when people's phones are tapped. Like, it's more like a general data collection thing, like the way we're being surveilled in their day-to-day lives today, and it's kind of just a fact of life now, but
it is still an objectification process. It's like we're being commodified. Like, in this blanket, impersonal way, there are eyes on us that are ultimately trying to use us to figure out how to make more money off of us in some way or other. You know, it's like...
Yeah, I suppose there's still, like, an objective
like,
there.
we're being hunted
for
in a
cash.
sense. Yeah, for our cash, for our interest, for our, you know, all of that. Is that the feeling? Like,
it's just like, I just would worry about what the intention was.
Yeah, and that's what feels scary about it. It's just not knowing what the guy wants.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
It's like,
why is he not interact? Like, why is he from so? Like, cause if somebody's watching, it's so much less unsettling if then you can interact with them in some way. And
yeah,
like if you're like playing a show, like you're playing music and there are people watching you, like you know they're interacting with you, you're like know each other, or like you know that they're there to watch you.
There's a clear
know,
exchange going on.
Yeah, and they might like talk to you. Like there's just there's there's an established relationship there being watched for a purpose.
Yeah.
There's no, like, barrier. Like, this is weird because there's...
You're right, it's the lack of clarity.
Yeah, really. And the lack of, like, that person seeming to have any interaction or any intention to interact with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
It reminds me, not fully, because it's a very different narrative, but have you seen the episode? No, you don't watch Black Mirror. It's so scary. But there's one where it's, like, the whole narrative is about walking around and having people watch you and film you on their phones and not speak back to you when you try and speak to them. And, like, later there's a whole reason why that's happening, sort of. But, like, it's just, for a lot of it, you don't know why it's happening. And it's just really, like, even before anything bad happens, it's unsettling, you know? It's like you're being watched as though you're something
Because you're separate.
You're like a spectator thing. Yeah, you're separate. You're an other who's being consumed in some way.
Yeah. And maybe that's mainly just frightening because you're being isolated. Like, it's the worst to feel alone. Like, feeling alone sucks, but feeling alone when you're around other people is way worse.
Yeah.
And if you're being watched by people who clearly aren't trying to interact with you, that's like a very sad, weird, disturbing type of loneliness.
I guess that's always a dehumanizing thing. It's like when people are watching someone with no intention of interacting back, usually that's when you've like passed a point where you don't care about that person's humanity on some level.
Yeah. It's
like,
true.
If you care about somebody's humanity, then there's going to be some kind of push back and forth between you. Like, there's going to be some form of playback between you.
Yeah. Yeah, the way we watch the news and, you know, everything online, like, you hear that's happening to people that are far from you.
Yeah.
And how it's very impersonal.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't feel like you have anything to do with it.
You're not going to help them. You're not going to do anything that would impact their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just like, there's the barrier of the screen between you.
It's not like you're watching in a malicious way. You're just watching in a really impersonal way.
Yeah. And it comes back to that thing that I'm always quoting by that Polish psychologist or whatever that I saw at a conference once, who said that the opposite, I'm not going to try and do his accent, but it was really good with a Polish accent, so you just have to overlay that onto this. But he said, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is indifference. And that's true.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when somebody feels anything in particular about someone, then you have the potential of affecting them back. You know?
Yeah.
It's like if someone hates you, it's because you're having an effect on them.
Yeah.
If somebody does not care at all, if there's nothing you can do to elicit a response from someone, that's your danger zone then.
Yeah,
ultimate, like, and I guess hate is also obviously really dangerous, but like there's some sliver of hope in hate in that, like, you know that there's a dynamic going on between you.
Yeah, there's something about you that you're doing or the way you're being that is causing them to feel that way, and so you maybe have the power to
something
change
in them or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Or
there's something malleable, it seems there. Whereas if there's indifference, it's like you're starting from way before the start line. Even then, it's like there's nothing going on yet for you to do because that person's not even necessarily caring at all. They don't even necessarily, but like in this is inverted though in some way, because this man does care because he's watching, like he's expending his energy to watch James. So it's like, it does feel indifferent. It feels impersonal. It doesn't feel humanizing at all.
It just feels kind of ominous because he's really making an intention to observe him.
Yeah, it's ominous because we don't know why. Would it be less ominous if we knew that the man was like gonna kill him? No. That would be more ominous. That would be the same amount of ominous? Or is
Probably
it
similar?
Similar?
No, it wouldn't be ominous, then it would just be
It's just scary. Right. Yeah, and there's something different about unsettling and ominous.
Yeah.
You know? It's just a whole void. Because it could be fine, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, overall, he seems like uncomfortable, but not frightened. You know, I could imagine, I could imagine this dream giving a real feeling of like panic.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
He's still just doing, I picture him coming downstairs and looking out the window and realizing that this guy is here, but just, he's still safe in his house.
I don't picture him feeling safe. At that point, at the point where I know he notices the man, I picture him feeling that deep sense of dread, but not necessarily knowing what to do about it, because you don't know what it is that's about to happen.
Yeah. I just didn't feel like there was any panic right then.
Yeah.
But maybe there was, and he just didn't say it.
And dread and panic, are they the same? I think they're different.
No, they are a little bit different. A little bit less active. Dread.
Yeah, dread is less active. Panic is like you're starting to...
You're going to start running around.
You're going to flail in some way.
Yeah.
But dread is like maybe you're a little frozen.
Mm-hmm. Oof. And the second one, I mean, he's like trying to figure it out a little bit, but he's still just there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, why am I being watched from so far? Well, you can't escape the eyes of Sauron, Santa, and God, James. That's the moral of this story.
I guess. Oof. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening.
Help us keep making this by subscribing to and reviewing the podcast wherever you listen to it, and following and liking us on social media.
If you love this, you can support us on Patreon.
We will reward you.